This is the verbena stormburst variety from Proven Winners, and I had purchased this a year ago and overwintered it. If you've ever had shrubs that have gotten out of control before, you can probably understand what we were going through when we had these boxwoods behind me that were way above the fence. And a couple weeks ago, we decided to go ahead and take these all the way back to the point where they are now. And it was a gamble. We weren't sure if they were going to come back, but they absolutely are, and they're coming back stronger than ever. They are branching all the way down from the bottom, all in the interior of the main trunk, and they look absolutely beautiful. So now that we know that they're coming back, we don't really have to worry about taking them out, which is really exciting. But it's opened up another opportunity for us to use this bed for something else along with the block wall. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video where I trimmed them back, and then I wasn't too happy with that video, and I took them back a little bit further. And I was telling everybody at the time that I had done some research on some people who had trimmed their boxwoods back severely, and those people were all saying that they would do just fine because of the extensive root system that they have underneath, which, you know, that totally makes sense since they're established that they probably would be prone to come back really nicely, and that's exactly what they have done. So now that they are coming back, I can take advantage of the area in between, since they are not as massive as they used to be, and plant some annuals that I had overwintered throughout last season and throughout the winter, and I'm going to plant those underneath to really utilize the space while they come back. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be planting up my containers along my block wall, which will be another video in itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to come through first, and we're going to weed all these weeds out. And it's really interesting. I never really had too many problems with weeds in here until we gave it a lot of sun, and then once the sunlight hit the ground, the weeds obviously grew like crazy. And so they're just about to send up their weed seed heads, and so we're going to rip those out by the roots. And then I have some drip irrigation line that goes to my back planters that was behind the huge boxwoods that were here. Nobody ever saw them, but since now that you can see straight back, I'm going to try to clean up that mess a little bit. We have a little bit right down here where it's like, you know, intertwined and it looks unsightly, so I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. And then we're going to put some new raised bed soil in here, one that we really like a lot, and kind of mix that in to kind of amend the soil. Give these boxwoods a feeding since it is spring, so I might take my power planter drill and drill some holes and put some plant tone in here, which is an all-purpose fertilizer that works for everything basically. It's kind of like a catch-all. And then we're going to plant our annuals, and we'll show you what that looks like at the very end. But it's exciting to use a space in the garden where we didn't have before to plant up something really pretty, and I think it's going to be just a beautiful ground cover, which will serve probably two purposes. Once they fill in, it will be nice to keep the weeds down, because once the ground is covered, it's less likely to grow weeds, although they will find a way, I'm sure, but it will help with that. And also it'll keep the ground cooler and will retain moisture, which is really great. All the while, I'll make sure that I run drip to all of those annuals, and by running drip to the annuals, that will mean that the boxwoods will be getting watered as well. So we hope you enjoy today's process. I'm going to go ahead and get changed so we can get here in the garden. I have Ben here with me today, and we're going to get started. So we hope you enjoy it. Here we go. right, so I have this all weeded out, and I think it's going to be a big improvement with that drip irrigation line pushed all the way back. I trimmed off some of the end of it to take out some of the extra length that I didn't need, and got some bricks in here to pin it against the wall so it looks a lot more tidy. And so when I put that raised bed potting soil in here, it's going to look clean and tidy, and you won't even notice it too much. But let's talk about the annual that I'm going to plant in here. This beautiful stormburst verbena has been overwintered from last season, and I basically took a little quart-sized pot here and transferred the, I think it's the regular grande size proven winners pot, placed it in here to give it a little bit more room, and then I basically didn't do anything with it all season other than keeping it watered and giving it a little bit of fertilizer. And this is what has happened this year. So I think it's fully ready to be placed in somewhere where it can reach its full potential, and that's why I'm so excited about this area right here. Now these can tolerate full sun to part sun, and that's basically what this bed gets throughout the day. It'll be in mostly sun throughout the day, and in the late afternoon, like right now, it's in shade, but it'll be absolutely perfect. I'll make sure after I get these planted in to eventually run drip to each one of their root balls so it stays hydrated and they get the water that they need for those hot days. But I think this beautiful light lavender color will look really nice as those boxwoods start to flesh out more of their growth, and they're not going to be anywhere near ready to trim back this year. But in the meantime, at least it'll be something really pretty to look at underneath, and then when I plant these up, it's going to be great as well. Now the care on these verbena couldn't be any easier. I'm just going to make sure they stay relatively moist, feed them probably with some water-soluble fertilizer every 2 weeks, and then I'll start them with a little bit of biotome fertilizer in the holes that I'm going to dig for them before I plant them in there. But that's basically going to be it. So super easy. They should spread out. I don't even think I'm going to trim them back. I was thinking of giving them a haircut, but I think it's going to be great to plant them like this because it's going to be like having a big impact immediately instead of planting the grande size. They're a little bit bigger, so it'll look a little bit more substantial. So let's get these planted, and I'll show you what they look like when we get them done. Here we go. Okay, and just like that, it's all finished. And I think these 4 verbena, which is a trailing verbena, is going to be beautiful because I feel like it'll fill in really nicely. Now, I put it in the front of the bed because I wanted them to have the most sun possible. I could have set them back just a little bit, which, you know, maybe that would have been the better choice to do because then they can fill out all the way around, but I can probably come through here and trim off the front to keep them from heading out onto the concrete right here. But I did want them to have the most sun possible because they do the best. The more sun they get, they do even better. So I think they're going to be great in here. The addition of the raised bed soil is really nice. It covered most of the drip irrigation line that I had in here, and I think this really does dress up this bed beautifully while we wait for the boxwoods to come back in. I think it's a nice fresh look. I think the soft lavender with all of the purples and the pinks that we're going to put in here along with the yellows, I think that color combination will work really well with everything that we have going on in our garden. So Again, this is low maintenance. This didn't cost me anything because I overwintered these. I didn't have to go out and buy them. I could have probably went out and purchased some more, but I think these 4 are going to be great because I know how they grow and I know they fill in beautifully. So I think this is going to be just enough. So anyways, we hope you enjoyed today's video of us giving this little bed here an upgrade while we wait for our boxwoods to fill in. And we hope to see you in our next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.